ये ऑन नहीं हुआ. आ गया. लिंक भेज दूँ बेटा. ये ऑन नहीं होगा क्या? पता चल जाएगा, बच्चे ऑनलाइन हो गए. Now, in the previous lecture, we were discussing this China. So here we were discussing exactly mineral resources. Mineral resources. Here we discussed distribution of coal and then iron ore. I told you 75% of the coal is found in Shanxi and Shenxi province and 20% in Manchuria. Regarding iron ore, I told you 75% of the iron ore reserves are found in Manchuria. Remaining at Pao Tau, Shantung Peninsula, here there was a place Chenling Cheng, and then Chongqing, Wuhan. Wuhan is famous for metallurgical industries because of availability of iron ore. So iron ore, Manchuria, Shantung Peninsula, Pao Tau, Chongqing, Wuhan. Third is oil. Oil and gas. See, in Gansu province in north, here there's a important oil field known as Yumain oil field in Gansu province of China. Here. Then in Xinjiang, where Uyghur movement is going on, here two very large deposits are found. One at Karamai oil field, and second in the interior of Xinjiang, that is Tusanze. These are very important oil fields. It is the availability of natural resources in Xinjiang province or Xinjiang province that Chinese government is holding it tightly despite Uyghur movement. It is the resources. Here we also find huge deposits of uranium. Now, apart from these, there's a Saidam Basin. While I was discussing the topography of China, I told you between Nanshan Mountain and Kunlunshan Mountain, there's a Saidam Basin. Saidam Basin. It lies between Kunlunshan and Nanshan. It is very famous, where Kokonor Lake was there, an area of inland drainage. Saidam Basin, very famous for oil deposits. These all are important oil fields. Recently now, a huge, few decades back, this huge discovery of oil was made at Taching in Manchuria. Taching, it is the largest oil field of China, Taching oil field in Manchuria. See, Manchuria is having the fertile Chernozem soil, temperate grasslands, although temperature is low because of continentality. It is bounded by mountain range, I told you. Great Khingan Mountain, Changbai Mountain. In between, it is Manchurian Plain because it is isolated from the moderating impact of sea. So it is extremely cold. Otherwise, it is having world's best Chernozem soil, temperate grasslands, 75% of iron ore deposits, bulk of oil field, largest oil field, Taching oil field. It is also found in Manchuria. Now, here you will see Vietnam is there, and this is Hainan Island. This island is Hainan. There's a Gulf of Tonkin over here. This is disputed between China and Vietnam. It is having immense reserves of gas. There's a Vietnam country over here. Between Vietnam and Hainan Island of China, Gulf of Tonkin is there, which is having huge reserves of gas, and that those reserves are disputed between Vietnam and China. When ONGC Videsh went for oil exploration over here on the invitation of Vietnam, then China protested strongly, and ONGC Videsh came back. Then again it was sent. Now these are the important. This Sichuan province. Sichuan province account for 50% of total natural gas reserves as well as production. Sichuan province. The same Sichuan basin known as Red Basin, where Red Basin is located. Chengdu, the fourth largest city. Chongqing, all are located in Sichuan province. So Sichuan province, Sichuan is very famous for 50% of natural gas reserves and production. Yumen oil field, Karamai oil field, Susanze oil field, Taching oil field is the biggest, and then offshore region of Hainan for natural gas, and this Sichuan famous for natural this 50% of reserves of natural gas and 50% of production. एक ही बार में कैसे मिटेगा? ऐसे हिला बार बार. Now, apart from iron ore, oil, iron ore, coal, China is the largest producer of iron ore in the world, largest producer of coal in the world, largest producer of manganese, largest producer of tungsten, largest producer of antimony. In fact, in these two, China accounts for 80% of global production of tungsten and antimony. It is largest producer of tin. If you talk about tin, this Yunnan province is having bulk of tin deposits. And in the southern side of Yunnan province, this is Yunnan province. In the southern side, there is a place, city, Guizhou. This is known as tin capital of China. Tin capital of China. Guizhou. So China is minerally adequately endowed, and in terms of extraction, it is at the top. Although in terms of reserves, it's not having much reserves, but in terms of production of iron ore, coal, manganese, tungsten, antimony, tin, zinc, China is first. So this was all about this mineral resources of China. Now let us come on to important manufacturing centers. China is manufacturing hub of the world. Huge manufacturing centers, and they are widely scattered. इस पे तो बार बार चलो कोई बात नहीं. हाँ, कोई बात नहीं. Now, let us come on to manufacturing centers. centers or cities. Basically, what are cities? What is urban area? Manufacturing centers or cities are what? Urbanization is the result of structural changes in economy. When the structural changes in economy take place, workforce gets shifted from primary activities to secondary and tertiary activities, manufacturing and service. When the workforce gets shifted from primary to secondary and tertiary activities, urbanization automatically takes place because secondary activities like manufacturing and services take place. This structural changes in China took place before India, and therefore China became a manufacturing hub. India, instead of manufacturing, service sector has taken the lead. And service sector does not require much workforce. एक कमरे में एक कंपनी पूरी चल जाती है सॉफ्टवेयर की. So therefore in India, the urbanization lagged. Now, if you talk in terms of manufacturing, major iron steel producing centers. See, China iron steel is basic to every industry, be it heavy engineering, machine tools, automobile, roads, infrastructure. Steel is basic. And China accounts for 50% of global steel production, roughly about 750 to 800 million tons. Here I discussed the largest steel centers that first cropped up. They cropped up in Manchuria. Shenyang, known as Pittsburgh of China. Anshan, known as steel capital of China. Fushun. These three together make up Mukden Triangle. Good morning, Artika. Steel capital of China. This make up Mukden Triangle. Then I discussed, this is Huanghe River. Other steel centers also cropped up. At Pao Tao, both coal was in proximity and iron ore was also found. Pao Tao, or you can say Bao Tao, important steel manufacturing centers. These are important steel manufacturing centers. Then here, Taiwan. Here, Taiyue, Hanyang. These three are modern large integrated steel plants, including this Taiwan. Just this is Huanghe River. Huanghe. This is Yangtze Kiang River. Kiang means river. So important, these are important steel manufacturing centers of China. Now, next, textile. China is world's largest producer of textiles. In fact, after the post-MFA regime in 2005, multi-fiber agreement was abolished, and this quota system was abolished. Now, Western nations could not protect their industries on the basis on the pretext of this quota system. Then China overwhelmingly dominated the global market of textile. India lagged far behind. Textile is a labor-intensive industry, and it was this textile industry that propelled the upward rise of wage rate in China. It is a labor-intensive industry. It provides employment to bulk. Therefore, Government of India always promotes textile industry because it provides employment to largest sector. After agriculture, the sector providing largest employment is textile sector. So next important industry, textile industry. Textiles. Textile industry. Now here in textile industry, there's a major city and also a municipality, Tianjin, also known as Tientsin. Then There's a city, uh, Tsingtao. Tsingtao. Then Shanghai. Shanghai is China's largest cotton as well as silk textile center. Then move inward following Yangtze Kiang River. Here is very important textile city, Nanking, on Yangtze Kiang River. Yangtze Kiang River. Then further inland, there is an important city just west of Wuhan, close to Wuhan. Very famous up till where this Yangtze Kiang River is navigable. Hankou. Hankou, the same Hankou just west of Wuhan. Wuhan is located here and Hankou here. And then on this river, Xikiang, this is Xikiang River. Here it is navigable up to Wuchao. Wuchao is a very important textile manufacturing center. So in China, it is Tianjin or Tianjin, Tsingtao, Shanghai, Nanking, Hankou, and Wuchao. Apart from this also, textile manufacturing is being done in other cities also, but these are the most important. Most important on commercial scale, textile manufacturing is being done. Now, apart from textile manufacturing, number of industries are there, major ports, important ports of important shipbuilding centers of China. Shipbuilding is a very important activity. See, there's a place, Luta Port, previously known as Darren, Port Darren, Luta, very important for shipbuilding. Then see, Tsingtao, very important shipbuilding center. And then Shanghai, the largest shipbuilding center. Shanghai, the largest shipbuilding center. And then at the mouth of Xikiang River, I told you it is a triangle. Xikiang River falls into the sea by way of Pearl River Delta. Pearl River Delta. On its one end, Hong Kong is located. At other, this Macau. The first day I was discussing China, I told you Hong Kong and Macau are specially administered region. And at the head of the delta, Canton is located. Canton is very popular. It is also known by some other Chinese name. I'm forgetting it. Canton is a major shipbuilding center. Canton is having the largest Muslim population outside Xinjiang. Canton is having maximum Muslim population outside Xinjiang. Canton is a very important silk manufacturing center. And here Indian consulate is there, where business activities are done. Our embassy is at Beijing. Our consulate is at Canton. So Canton is very important from historical days. Canton, Shanghai, Tsingtao, and Luta. These are the four major shipbuilding centers, and Canton being also famous for silk manufacturing, tobacco export. China is largest producer of tobacco. Shipbuilding port, consulate of India. So many activities. Being consulate, shipbuilding center, major port, tobacco export port, Majority of Muslim population, silk manufacturing. So this was all about manufacturing centers of China. Now let us come on to agricultural aspect. China is very important agriculturally, although just 12%, 12 to 13% of China's area is arable. Just 13% land area is arable, but it is being intensively cultivated. In India, 44% land area is arable, but intensity of cultivation is not so high as in China. China, the agricultural region and the industrial region are coterminous. It is the eastern regions that we discussed. Agriculture is confined. We discussed in China we are having 4 plains. One is Manchurian plain. Second is, I told you, Huangho plain. Third is Yangtze-Kiang plain. And fourth is Xinjiang plain. Manchurian plain, Huangho river, North China plain, Yangtze-Kiang, Lower Yangtze, most densely populated part of China, Lower Yangtze plain, Yangtze-Kiang plain, and this is Xinjiang river. This is Xinjiang plain. These are the areas where 80% of population, almost 95% of industries and 90% of agriculture activities are done. बस इतना ही चाइना है. ये सब तो खाली पड़ा. It's very sparsely populated. Xinjiang, Tibet, Nil Mongol, these areas are very sparsely populated. Almost entire population is confined to the coastal plains and Sichuan Basin. Sichuan Basin. Here. Now, in terms of animal husbandry, China is world's largest producer of mutton, sheep, fish and pork. Milk is not, dairy farming is not at all important activity. मतलब they don't prefer to eat milk, butter, cheese and all. वो कीड़े मकोड़े खा के खुश हैं. मतलब ये इसके अलावा they eat this bats, cockroach, lizard, जो भी मिलता है खा जाते हैं. मतलब कीड़े मकोड़े, all those things. Mutton, fish and pork are the chief. Milk products are not important. Sheep, the cattle rearing is not important activity in China. Now, apart from this, in agriculture, if you see in agriculture, China is world's largest producer of wheat, world's largest producer of rice, world's largest producer of cotton, world's largest producer of tobacco. 80% of tobacco is consumed domestically by Chinese. वो भी बहुत बड़े नशेड़ी हैं लोग. Basically, cigarette and chewing tobacco. World's largest producer and world's largest consumer. Second is India, after China. But soon India will overtake China in tobacco consumption, not production. Fifth, flax. Sixth, silk. In these, China is at the top. China is at the top. Now let us see the various agricultural regions of China. यार ये बार बार मिटाना पड़ेगा, तो ऐसा करो, सुनो बेटा, इसको थोड़ा एक बार मिटाने वाला सिस्टम करो कुछ. So while I was discussing the topography or geography of China, I discussed the between Kunlun Shan and Himalayas, Tibetan Plateau is there, and their eastern extension of Kunlun Shan is known as Tisling Shan Mountain or greatest east of Tibet. They are also known as greatest east of Tibet. I told you if you draw a line joining along it horizontally, this Tisling Shan Mountain divides China into north and south. North China, South China. Dry and cool North China, warm wet South China. Pedalfer in the north, soils are pedalfer. In the south, soils are in the north, soils are pedicles, semi-arid soils. In south, soils are pedalfers. North of this, wheat growing region. South of this, rice growing region. This is very important. The Tisling Shan Mountain, if you continue to extend eastward, it divides China into north and south. So let us see what all agriculture is being done. Tisling Shan Mountain divides China into north and south. So first is rice. Rice happens to be the staple food crop of China. Rice is eaten everywhere in China. Now, obviously, rice cultivation is labor intensive. It is in fertile fields. In China, the rice yield is very high. The highest yield of rice in India is found in Punjab and Haryana. The average yield of China is 3 times, average yield of rice in China is 3 times more than our highest yielding states, Punjab and Haryana. उन जो highest yielding states हैं उनसे 3 गुना ज़्यादा average yield है वहाँ की राइस की भी wheat की भी. Now you see in China, in prominent rice growth, I discussed this is Yangtze Kiang, Huangho, Xikiang. Huangho, Yangtze Kiang. This is Xikiang. Now here there is, I told you, here there is Sichuan Basin or Red Basin. I discussed this Sichuan Basin is bounded by rims of mountain on north and northwest. Therefore, it is much warmer than southern provinces. Sichuan Basin on terraces of hills, rice cultivation is done, also known as Red Basin. This is the region where 3 crops of rice are raised. 3 crops of rice in a year. It is known as rice bowl of China. Sichuan Basin or Red Basin, rice bowl of China. Here 3 crops of rice are raised in a year. In the interior, hills are cut into terraces, and on those terraces farming is being done. Then the most densely populated part, that is lower Yangtze Kiang Basin. Lower Yangtze Kiang Basin. Very intensive cultivation of rice is there because it happens to be the most densely populated area, most densely populated region of China. It is here that Shanghai, Nanking, Wuhan, Hankou, Hanyang, Taiyeh, all these cities are located. So here 2 crops of rice are grown. Very intensive cultivation. इसमें कलर चेंज करेगा पेन? अरे सो गए क्या? इसमें पेन कलर चेंज करेगा क्या? क्योंकि यहीं पर टोबैको भी दिखाना है मुझको, कलर नहीं चेंज करेगा पेन? एक मिनट बेटा, मिटाना मत से, क्योंकि यहाँ 2 क्रॉप इसलिए है क्योंकि टोबैको 3rd इंपॉर्टेंट क्रॉप है. हाँ हाँ, ये बढ़िया है, गुड गुड। अब एक बार मिटाएंगे सब मिटेगा ना, इससे, और इससे मिटाएंगे तो वेरी गुड, this is what I needed. Now see, here it is very intensely cultivated, but still not three crops. Why? Because tobacco happens to be a very important cash crop in some part of this region. Third region, very intensive cultivation of wheat. Southeast coastal plain. Southeast coastal plain. Also known as plains of Sikyang River. Southeast coastal plain or plains of Sikyang River. Two crops of rice are grown. Rice cultivation is very intense. Now, here lies upland. Here lies upland, known as southeastern upland of China. In this upland region, rice tea cultivation is done. Rice and tea. In this these uplands are known as southeastern uplands. On these southeastern uplands, southeastern highlands भी कहते हैं इसे, or uplands of China, rice tea cultivation is done. Rice and tea cultivation. Although rice cultivation is done everywhere, but these are the areas where it is very intense. Wheat cultivation. As you move north of Tislingshan, south of Tislingshan mountain, rice cultivation, north of it lies Huangho Basin. This is the region of wheat. This is winter wheat. अब केवल S को मिटाना है तो winter wheat. Here in summers a fodder is grown, cowling. Winter wheat is grown in Huangho Basin. In summers, wheat is replaced by cowling. Middle part of Huangho Basin, here wheat and millets. Sorry, you can say millets, hard crop. Here in lower Huangho Basin and middle Huangho Basin, it is winter wheat. Winter wheat is grown. During summers, in lower basin, cowling is grown. In middle basin, during summers, millet is grown. Now, here you have Sungari River, Liao River. This Manchurian plain is most fertile, but I told you it's extremely cold because of continentality and northerly location. It is very cold. So here wheat is grown only in spring, summer, spring wheat, along with soya bean and cowling. So you see, northern part wheat is more important, southern part rice is more important, and then cotton. Now China has introduced cotton in a big way in Xinjiang province. Cotton requires arid climate, so arid climate is there with the help of irrigation. Traditionally important cotton cultivation area was this Shandong. Here it intermixes with rice, with here wheat and rice. This region, in this region, intensity of cultivation is very strong. Here see cotton, Shandong Peninsula, then you turn towards north with wheat, and here with basically rice, cotton cultivation belt. Bulk of the cotton is grown in here. Tobacco is grown in इतना ही रंग है और कोई कलर नहीं है, चलो इसे कर लेते हैं. यूनान प्रोविंस, Yunnan province. ये रंग क्यों नहीं बदला? हाँ, Yunnan province, Sichuan, and Giz. Here there's a eastern part. This is tobacco is grown throughout China. Tobaccos, but this is the most important region, comprising of Yunnan province, Sichuan province, and there's one other province in the east, that is, I'm forgetting the name. I think that is Guizhou. East of Yunnan, Guizhou. This is tobacco producing belt. So these are the regions in China devoted to different crops. So 93% Chinese population is Han. Ethnicities Han. Most of them, 75% of them are communist. They don't believe in God. They have no religion. Chinese are atheist. पता नहीं कैसे ग्रो कर रहे हैं, how they are developing, ईश्वर की कृपा के बिना. They are atheist. They are, all communists are atheist. In China, 75% population is atheist, and 93 people are ethnically they are Han. So this was all about China. Now let us come on to next, Japan. Far more important than China 2 decades back. Japan was the leader. Before Second World War, this entire Manchurian plain, eastern China was under Japanese occupation. ये पूरा Manchuria, eastern China, this all was under Japanese empire. ये क्या करें भाई? ये काटना हटाना अब चाइना हो गया. बहुत जिद्दी है क्या? हाँ, this is what we discussed just now. I will provide you this map. This river, this, इसको हटाओ बेटा, वो blank map of Japan. Blank. How is Japan? जापान वैसे भी ऊपर है, बड़ा देश है. Now see Japan, it's not a large country in terms of area, but in terms of Human Development Index, in terms of longevity, in terms of literacy rate, in terms of technological development, it's global leader. Without exception, it is a global leader in every aspect. And before Second World War, it was a major military power. वो तो एटम बम डाल दिया, नहीं तो it would have been still a major military power. Now see, at one point of time before Second World War, Japanese empire constituted, before Second World War, Japanese empire included Manchuria region, East China. Open up the map of Asia. East China, large part of Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia. If you see Russia, Kamchatka Peninsula, east of Sea of Okhotsk, Kamchatka Peninsula. And Kamchatka Peninsula is connected to Japan by way of small islands known as Kuril Islands. And further south, Japan is connected to Taiwan by way of Ryukyu Islands. You see, to the north of Japan, Kuril Islands are there. They connected to Kamchatka. South of Japan, Ryukyu Islands are there. They connected to Taiwan. This all was included in China. Apart from these four large islands, all this region was under Japanese empire. So Japan was a big empire, just like Britain. And after during Second World War, atom bomb was released dropped on China, and those were the important naval ports: Nagasaki, Hiroshima, important naval port. Japan was a big naval power, and in fact, in Second World War, nobody won. All were devastated. चाहे elite ने जीता, चाहे जिसने जीता, after Second World War, all were devastated. So let us start with Japan. पानी है बेटा? So these are the four major islands of Japan. These happen to be the four major islands. Otherwise, it is having 3,400 islands, and number of those islands are disputed. Like Kuril Islands between Russia and Japan, some of the Ryukyu Islands between Japan and China, they are disputed. Previously, this all was under Japanese Empire. Now, overall, there are more than 3,000 islands, 3,400 something. Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu. These four are the major or larger islands of Japan. ये पेन कहाँ गया? This is Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu. If you see in the west, Korean Peninsula is there. Korean Peninsula. Korean Peninsula was also under Chinese Empire. Such huge empire. Now it is divided into North Korea and South Korea. Here, this strait, Korea Strait, this is Tsushima Island, and this strait is known as Tsushima Strait. In between there is an island. This island is known as Tsushima Island. This strait is Korea Strait, and this strait is Tsushima Strait, and this is Sea of Japan. Sea of Japan. Sea of Japan is connected to East China Sea. Here these Ryukyu Islands are there. This East China Sea is connected to Sea of Japan by way of these two straits, Tsushima Strait and Korea Strait. In between there is an island known as Tsushima Island. And in North China, the Sea of Japan is connected to Sea of Okhotsk. Sea of Okhotsk. Now, if you see the topography of Japan, it is mountainous, completely mountainous. 75% area of Japan is mountainous, and this out of this 70%, no, not out of this, and total 70% of area of Japan is forested. 75% area, all the central parts are hilly. 75% area is mountainous, and out of total area, 70% area is under forest. Only 16% area is plain, and it is here that entire agriculture and industrial development is confined. all the industries, all the agricultural activities, they are confined to plain, and these plain happen to be in the coastal regions. Coastal regions are plain where the entire this activity of agriculture and industrial activities are confined. Now, Japan is tectonically very unstable. It's marked by frequent earthquakes, frequent volcanic activities. There are more than 60 active volcanoes in Japan. Huge volcanic activity, huge seismic activity. Earthquakes are very common, tremors are very common. It is because of Pacific plate is subducting below the Eurasian plate, and to the east of Japan, Japan Trench is there. So this Japan Trench, where the subduction of Pacific plate is going on, so it is marked by tectonic activity. I told you in New Zealand also. Why tectonic activity Northern Ireland? Just north of Northern Ireland, there are two trenches, Eldridge, Tonga and Kermadec Trench. Just north of North Island, Tonga and Kermadec trenches are there, where the Pacific plate is subducting. Here Japan Trench. So most of it is hilly. Only coastal areas are plain, and here in 16% area is plain, where entire agricultural, entire industrial activity is confined, and basically here most of the bulk of the population lives in plain areas. It is known as land of volcanoes because of 60 active volcanoes. If you talk in terms of drainage, two longest river of Japan is this Shimano Gawa, and the largest river of Japan is Teishio. Largest means in terms of volume. In Japan, rivers are short and swift. Rivers are short and swift. Long rivers are not there. There is acute shortage of fresh water in Japan. Although Kii Peninsula receives huge rainfall, Japan receives snowfall in winters and rainfall in summers. Despite heavy rainfall, there is intense, like northeast of India, rainfall is heavy but shortage of water. Here the reason is different. In China, despite adequate rainfall, there is acute shortage of water for agriculture, because rice being the staple food crop, it requires huge water. For other domestic and industrial purpose, there is shortage of water, because most of the cones are volcanic, peaks are volcanic, and these rivers coming from these volcanic peak, their water becomes acidic, which is unfit for human consumption, agriculture purpose, or industrial purpose. So since rivers drain out of these volcanic peaks, so the river water becomes acidic. And secondly, dams, it's very risky and costly to construct dams because of frequent earthquakes. So dams, large dams cannot be constructed because earthquakes are very frequent. It will cause heavy casualty. So there's a dearth of water. Demand of water, fresh water is very high because there's rice cultivation is there, and fresh water is not available, easily available. Now, if you see plain areas, let us see what are the plain areas in Japan. This is Hokkaido. This is Hokkaido. Here there are two plain areas. One is this Ishikari plain, and second plain is here Tokachi plain. These are the two plains in Hokkaido. On the western side of Honshu, this is Niigata plain. The most important plain of Japan is this Kwanto plain. Kwanto Plain, largest industrial cluster. This is Nobi Plain. This is Kinki Plain. These are the plain areas where bulk of the industries, Nigata Plain, bulk of the agriculture activity is confined. So these happen to be the most important plains. If you see agricultural activities, it is confined to these plains. These plains, agriculture activities spread over 12.3% of total area of Japan, and 3% population is engaged. Very technical, high-tech agriculture. Japan is the only country that has developed mechanization even in the flooded fields of rice. So agriculture is technically very advanced. Here 12.5% area, 3% population is engaged in agriculture, and agriculture contributes 1% of GDP. It accounts for 1% of GDP. Now, if you see Japan, although it is surrounded by water bodies, but it is northerly located. It is far northerly located. If you draw a line along 37th parallel, that is latitude, it divides China into two parts: southern warmer region, northern colder region. Agriculture is important activity south of 37th parallel in Japan. Basically, size of holding is small and agriculture is very intense. Yield is very high because every patch of land is intensively cultivated. So these southern warmer regions, that is Shikoku, Kyushu, and southern Honshu, south of 37th parallel, these are very important. As we move southward, agriculture goes on becoming important. You see, in southern, these two provinces, in southern Kyushu, Shikoku, and this, in these two southern islands, 3 crops in a year are raised because length of growing season is long. In southern Honshu, south of 37th parallel, 2 crops are raised in a year. North of 37th parallel, in northern Honshu and Hokkaido, only 1 crop in a year is raised, and that too it is hardy crop, millet. Millet is the only crop that is grown north of 37th parallel. So as we move southward, because of warmth increases, growing season increases, so number of crops raised in a year goes on increasing. In these two, 3 crops a year, and southern Honshu 2 crops a year, northern Honshu and Hokkaido 1 crop a year. So this is because of decreasing growing season as we move northward. Hokkaido, in fact, fishing is very important. Fishing happens to be most important in Hokkaido. Now let us discuss about the various crops grown in Japan. Small fields, intensely cultivated, and highly mechanized farming. Most important food or staple food crop, rice. Rice is most important. First, rice. It is the staple food crop of Japan. Rice happens to be the staple food crop of Japan, and it is grown south of 37th parallel. All except millets, every crop is grown south of 37th parallel. Now, here you see rice cultivation is intense, farms are short, farms are small and highly mechanized. High intensity of cultivation because these patches where rice is grown, rice accounts for 60% of total sown area of Japan. 60%. That is, it is the most important food crop, and its method of rice cultivation is also most advanced, most mechanized. Despite all this, Japan is second highest. Japan is having the second highest yield in rice in the world after Italy. Italy is having the highest yield. Although Japan's method of rice cultivation are most advanced, most technical, most innovative, despite that Japan is having second highest yield after Italy. Now it is grown in all the three southern provinces, south of 37th parallel, in Kyushu, Shikoku, Honshu. The largest and the most important stretch of rice farming lies in Kinki Plain. The largest and the most important stretch of rice farming in Japan is known as Shitochi Plain. Shitochi Plain. In Kinki Plain, there is a region, Shitochi Plain. This is most important rice, largest stretch and most important rice growing region in Japan. Despite intense production, Japan is net importer of rice. This happens to be true with every rice producing country. Basically, all the rice producing states, see Kerala produces three crops of rice. Kerala is an importer of rice. Tamil Nadu, rice the staple food. Tamil Nadu is importer. Andhra Pradesh is importer. Odisha is importer. West Bengal, such large producer, it also imports. Punjab and Haryana are the two states where rice is not staple food crop. They are contributor to central pool. So what happens? Rice as a commodity does not enter in bulk in international market because the domestic consumption of rice is very high in whichever country it is grown. See Japan. Japan is producer of rice, and Japan is also importer of rice. Now next to rice is wheat. Again, it is grown south of 37th parallel. Usually, wheat is grown on as a second crop in the rice fields. Wheat is usually grown as a second crop in the rice fields, and wheat does not happen to be the staple food. Wheat is basically a winter crop. In summers, these fields are devoted to rice. During winters, some of them are devoted to wheat. So wheat, in terms of importance, it does not stand anywhere to rice, but still next to rice, wheat is the important food grain. Now, sweet potatoes. So wheat is grown in as a second crop in rice fields where in winters when rice is not grown. Sweet potato, very important in Japan. They don't only eat rice, they also make alcoholic beverages from rice. Rice से alcohol भी बनाते हैं. Sweet potato, it is an important food crop of Japan. Sweet potato, here basically it is also grown south of 37th parallel. Kwanto Plains happens to be the most important region where sweet potato is grown. Sweet potato is an important crop. It is grown south of 37th parallel, and it is usually grown where the soil is not suitable for rice cultivation. But basically not suitable for rice cultivation. In those areas, it becomes more important. And Kwanto Plain are most important producer of sweet potato. Then next crop is Mandarin oranges, the most important fruit of Japan. Mandarin oranges. Now, Mandarin oranges is the most important fruit of Japan. It is also grown on the south of 37th parallel on the Pacific coast. Along the Pacific coast, south of 37th parallel, Mandarin oranges are grown. Then tea. In Japan, they grow green tea, and that is exported. It is grown on small farms. Unlike India, large plantation crop is not there. In East Asia, tea is not a plantation crop like in India. Tea is a kitchen garden crop. Every household grows tea in its kitchen garden. It is a kitchen garden crop. जैसे तुलसी का पौधा नहीं उगाते हैं, पत्ते तोड़ लाए. So in Japan, green tea is grown, which is mostly exported, and it is grown on small farms. In East Asia, as such, tea is not a plantation crop, rather it is a kitchen garden crop. It is grown by every household in his courtyard. And if you see on commercial scale, on either slopes of Central Highlands, south of 37th parallel, on either slopes of the Central Highlands in Honshu, tea is grown. Central part is hilly. On these eastern and western slopes, green tea is grown in Japan. In Honshu Island, on both the slopes of Central Highlands, tea cultivation is done. Now, in Japan, just like in other part of the world, mixed farming is popular. In Japan also, mixed farming is very important. But here the difference is, in rest of the Europe we studied, in Australia we studied agriculture, crop farming with dairy, animal husbandry. Here it is crop farming plus sericulture. Basically mixed farming. Elsewhere what we see in mixed farming, usually livestock like dairy products, these cattle come into existence along with crop cultivation. But in Japan it is sericulture. Japan has been traditionally the important producer of silk along with China. Here silk production is a tradition, and the same farmer who goes for crop cultivation also rears these cocoons, also rears the cocoons for silk rearing. So this is a part-time job. The same farmer who goes for crop farming also goes for rearing cocoons. So silk worms are reared by the same farmer. Now in Japan, fishing is very important. It is the only country of the world whose shipping vessels can be found in every ocean of the world. In fact, in Japan, it is the second largest fish producer. If fishing is done on such large scale, then floating factories are there. Floating factories means large ships that move into the open ocean. They remain in open seas forever. And ships are caught from the sea, packed and exported from ship itself. This ship never comes to the shore. People keep on shifting their routines, their daily schedule. They keep on shifting, and the ship remains in open sea. The fish is caught, slaughtered, packed and exported from the vessel itself. So fishing is a large-scale activity. It accounts every part of the world. You can find whaling has been banned, but still Japan pursues it. Such a fan of fishing. And fish and rice happens to be the main staple food of this country. Now, here very important, Hokkaido is very famous for this fishing. Now, here one very important, oyster rearing. Oyster rearing is an important part of Japanese culture. Now, here oysters, here you can have natural pearls, also cultural pearls. Natural pearls are basically wild hunting of oysters. Cultural pearls, they are intentionally reared as a part of aquaculture. In both natural pearls and cultural pearls, Japan is leader. So this was about its agriculture. Now mineral, it's minerally very poor. In fact, it is the human resource development in Japan that is very high. Despite lacking in all the mineral resources, it's the human resource that has been highly refined, developed. If you talk in terms of minerals, then it has very little iron ore reserves, iron ore reserves at Kamaishi. If you see in Niigata plain at Agita and Niigata, these are the two oil fields. At Chiba, some gas reserves are there. If you talk in terms of coal, yes, in Ishikari plain, one-third of the coal reserves of Japan are found. Rest two-third coal reserves are found in the northwest Kyushu in Fukuoka district. Here Chukiho, in this region, Chukiho is the most important coal field. Chukiho, this northwestern part of Kyushu account for two-thirds of the coal reserves of Japan. So one-third of the coal reserves are found in Ishikari plain, whatever reserve they are, and two-thirds of the coal reserves are found in this northwestern part of Kyushu. That is northwestern part of Kyushu. Chukiho happens to be the most important coal field. Now, apart from this, there is no mineral reserve in Japan. Basically, these are the only few mineral reserves present in Japan. But Japan is having highly developed human resource. So manufacturing activity has been going on since very early, and it happens to be a very important activity. In fact, the most important activity of Japan. In electronics industry, shipbuilding, iron steel, basically synthetic rubber, and automobile manufacturing, Japan has been the leader. Japan has been the leader. So, if you see Honshu, most important island, 80% of population lives over here. Then Kyushu, 15% of population lives over here. 15 nahi, sorry, not 15, it is 12%. 5% in Hokkaido and 3% in Shikoku. Kyushu 92 and 800. 80% population in Honshu, 12% in Shikoku, and Kyushu, and 3% in Shikoku, and 5% in Hokkaido. Now let us see what are the important. I told you the plain areas, the coastal areas are plain, and these plain happens to be the regions where agriculture as well as industries have cropped up. Agriculture is important as well as industrial clusters have cropped up. It is well-renowned country for manufacturing. For manufacturing, it had been the leader, world leader, for the, except for the last 2 decades, 1 decade where China has come up. Previous to that, Japan was the leader in manufacturing activities. In Japan, manufacturing cities happen to be the twin cities. They appear in the form of twin cities, and they are surrounded, dotted by a number of satellite cities. In Japan, manufacturing cities are in the form of twin cities, and they are surrounded by a number of satellite towns. In Japan, Kihin, it means Tokyo, Yokohama. Hansen, it means Osaka, Kobe. These are twin cities, industrial cities, twin cities. So now let us see the industry landscape of Japan, and let us see how huge was this activity. At one point of time, Japan was world leader, and in fact, during Second World War also, it had developed its military on modern nine lines. Oh, Honolulu pe basically it attacked, so it was bombarded with atom bomb. Now let us see what all cities are the most important, what all are the most important manufacturing regions. Now, first is Kwanto. Most important manufacturing region of Japan. See. This is Kwanto Plain, most important manufacturing region. Here lies the capital of Japan, Tokyo. Not only the capital, it is also world's largest city, Tokyo. And the manufacturing is very important. Close to it lies Kawasaki, a very important manufacturing region of Japan. You might have heard of Kawasaki bike also. Very important bike manufacturing, other activities, multiple manufacturing activities. Kawasaki. Yokohama. It is the largest port of Japan. Largest and the chief port of Japan, and it is the largest ship building center of Japan. In Japan, shipbuilding is very important. If you see, still among world's top 3, if you count among world's top 3 in automobile manufacturing, in shipbuilding, in iron steel, India has just overtaken, still it is third. In synthetic rubber, in paper manufacturing, Japan stands among top 3 in all these activities. Electronics. Now, Yokohama happens to be the largest port of Japan, and Japan is having huge ports, and it's the largest shipbuilding center. Close to it, there's Yokosuka, very important. Naval base, very important shipbuilding center. At one point of time, it was largest military craft, military vessels making center of the world. Frigates, destroyers, aircraft carriers, battle ships, all were manufactured. Still, it is a very important naval base. And then here is Shiba, important for steel manufacturing and gas. So this is the most important region of manufacturing region of Japan. Next, Yokosuka, very important. Don't ignore the city. In naval, it is still a naval base, naval vessels, shipbuilding for frigates, destroyers, aircraft carriers, and still it goes on. It's still a naval base. Now next is Nobi Plain. This is Nobi Plain. Here on the coast there is Nagoya. Nagoya, so famous for textiles. Nagoya is so known for textiles, but automobile manufacturing has dominated the landscape. Toyota, कोई जितनी भी कारें सुनते हो सब जापान की हैं. Nagoya is very important for textile, no doubt. but automobile manufacturing far exceeds. So Nagoya is known as Detroit of Japan. Although textile is important, but automobile manufacturing is still more important. And the very musical town Hamamatsu, Hamamatsu, it is famous for musical instruments. Musical instruments. Nobi Plain is basically dominated by Nagoya. This is Kinki Plain. Kinki Plain. Here lies the chief center of this region, Osaka. Osaka. Far more important than Nagoya in textile, and it is known as Manchester of Japan. Famous for textiles. Osaka, very famous town, of large city, is very famous for textiles, most famous city of Japan. Just like Milan of Italy, Lyon of France, Lords of Poland. This is Osaka of Japan. Near it, there's a port, Kobe. Now, Kobe is another very important, very important shipbuilding center. Very important shipbuilding. Shipbuilding is very important in very many cities of Japan, but it comes next to Yokohama. Yokohama is the largest port and chief shipbuilding center. Kobe and Kure have intense fight with each other. अगर तुम इसके if you see in terms, there's a place Kure over here, Kure Yard. Shipbuilding is very important. There's a place Fukuoka. Fukuoka in Kyushu, in Shikoku Island. There's a place Fukuoka. In between Fukuoka and Kobe, there's intense fight for the second largest port. And between Kure and Kobe, there's fight for second largest shipbuilding center. Yokohama is the largest, but Kure is naval base. Kobe is not a naval base. It makes cargo ships. Now Kure is also engaged in cargo ships. So Kobe is very important port. Fukuoka and Kobe changes places with each other for being the second most important port. Most important port is Yokohama, largest port. Largest shipbuilding center is Yokohama, undisputed. In terms of second largest, at times Kobe, at times Fukuoka. They interchange places. And in shipbuilding, Kure and Kobe interchange places. Kobe, it is very important shipbuilding and very important port. At times it becomes second most important, or it remains third most important port. First being Yokohama, and second Fukuoka. At times it becomes third, at times it becomes second most important port. Now here there's a place Kyoto. Kyoto. Kyoto is the old capital of Japan. It is much known for silk manufacturing. It is a historical city. It is a historical city. Kyoto is basically a historical city. It is mostly known for tourism, and silk manufacturing is important. Then there's a place Hemji in this same Kinki Plain. Hemji is famous for steel manufacturing, iron steel industry. Hemji is known for steel industry. Now you see, Kobe is very important for transport of bulky cargo. transshipment is very important. It is very important port for transporting bulky cargo. So it is a important, very important port, very important shipbuilding center and transport port. Then Kure, usually it is known as Kure Yard. It has been a traditionally naval base. It is still a naval base. Battleships were made. Battleships were manufactured over here. But now cargo ships have overtaken battleships. Now Kure is more known for cargo ships. Again, close to Kure, a very famous town, Hiroshima. Hiroshima at one point of time was a very important for shipbuilding. Still it is important for shipbuilding. Therefore atom bomb was dropped. It was naval base, but now it is no more. It is Hiroshima is simply a shipbuilding center. Kure was basically the largest at one point of time. Yokosuka and Kure yard for known Yokosuka, Kure and Nagasaki are the three chief naval shipyards of Japan. Yokosuka, Kure and Nagasaki. नीचे Nagasaki. Nagasaki is here. Nagasaki, Kure and Yokosuka. Very important. Yokosuka, Kure and Nagasaki. At one point of time, they were the world's largest battleships manufacturing yards. एक टाइम था सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर से पहले नेवल जापान वाज अ वेरी बिग नेवल पावर एंड योकोसुका कुरे नागासाकी still they are naval stations, very important naval station. Nagasaki is also a coal port. I told you bulk of the coal is found in the northwestern part of Kyushu. Here basically Chukiho is the most important coal field. Here Nagasaki lies. Nagasaki is very important coal port. It is a naval shipyard, shipbuilding center. Kure again naval shipyard. All three are naval shipyard. All three are shipbuilding centers. All used to be the main manufacturer of battleships, destroyers, frigates, aircraft carriers. Hiroshima is simply shipbuilding. See, a very important Kitakyushu. It is a very important trading port. Certain ports are trading ports. They are basically very important for transshipment. So basically, Kitakyushu, it is here in Kyushu. It is an important manufacturing center, plus it is important for international trade. Just to its west, here you find Yawata, the largest steel making facility center of Japan. Yawata, it is the largest iron steel manufacturing center of Japan. Just like Yokohama is the largest port and largest shipbuilding center. इसके बाद tough competition है काफी के बीच में. जैसे Kobe is also shipbuilding. Hiroshima is also important for shipbuilding. Kure is also important for shipbuilding. Yokosuka is also Yokosuka, Kure and Nagasaki, naval shipyard, battleships. Now they are this. Kure has completely transformed into cargo ships. Kure no more manufactures naval ships. It manufactures cargo ship. Yokosuka and Kobe are still engaged in battleships. Now, this Yawata is the chief largest steel manufacturing facility, and Fukuoka is the second largest port. I just discussed there's a stiff competition between Fukuoka and Kobe for the second largest port. Kobe is famous for shipbuilding. Fukuoka is at times overtakes Kobe as second largest port. And then here it is, Nagasaki. Atom bomb was dropped. It is a naval port. It is a coal port. It is a shipbuilding center. Now, if you come over Kamaishi, I discussed Kamaishi. Here iron ore is found. Kamaishi, iron ore is found. So it is an iron ore. So it is also important iron steel manufacturing center. Rest, nothing is left. One is Toyoma. Toyoma paper. Japan is among world's top 3 paper manufacturing country. Now in north, see the capital and the ये क्या हो गया, ये क्या सेटेगा, Sapporo, capital of Hokkaido. Here there's a place Muroran, chief iron steels manufacturing center of Hokkaido. This is Hokkaido. Chief iron steel manufacturing center. And Hokkaido is the chief port of Hokkaido. So this was all about industrial centers of Japan. Now let us come on to Russia. Russia, we'll study it in entirety, both European Russia as well as that part that lies in Asia. Names in Russia, certain names are there which are difficult. Otherwise, Russia is very interesting. Russia. There's no map. There's no need. If you see Russia, I will draw the map. अरे यार ये क्यों हो रहा है? Russia happens to be treated very specially. It is largest country on this continent, 17 million square kilometer area. It passes through several time zones. Broadly, basically, population of Russia is very less. It's less than that of Japan. Basically, and Russia is the only country whose population is decreasing. Every year, the population declines by 1 lakh. So Russia usually we divide into 4 parts. One, European Russia, that lies in to the west of Ural mountains. European Russia that lies west of Ural mountain. Then West Siberian plain. This is that part which lies between Ural mountain on one and Yenisei river on the other. West Siberian plain is that part which lies between Ural mountain on one side and Yenisei river on the right hand side. This is West Siberian plain drained by Ob river. Drained by Ob river. Between Yenisei and Lena, first is this, second is West Siberian plain, third part is Central Siberian plateau. This is that region of Russia which lies between Yenisei river in west and Lena river in east. Here lies Central Siberian plateau. And east of Lena, we called East Siberian highlands. It's better to discuss Russia separately in next lecture. I will draw a map of Russia, and on map I will depict the various regions: European Russia, then West Siberian plain, Central Siberian plateau, Central Siberian plateau, East Siberian highlands. And then in fact this Alaska was also part of Russia, but it was sold to USA. So today we'll confine up till here. Tomorrow we'll start with Russia and we'll discuss in detail all the important centers, agricultural regions, mining regions, industrial centers. Ural region, very important mining region. There Nizhny Tagil, Magnitogorsk, Chelyabinsk. Here again Volga river, longest river having numerous oil fields. Ufa, Perm, Saratov, Volgograd, Astrakhan, all are having oil fields. So today we'll sum up here and tomorrow we'll start with Russia.